Hello and welcome to the Tabletop Games blog topic discussion.
Spiel des Jahres. How the jury chooses games. Every year the announcement of the Spiel des Jahres nominations leads to a lot of discussion across our hobby. Some people agree with the choices, other questions why certain games were not included, and many try to predict the eventual winners. What most people don't realize when they discuss the nominations is that the jury does not gather for a single weekend to decide the best game of the year. No, jurors spend many months playing hundreds of new releases several times with different groups of people. It is a lot of work that goes often unnoticed, but that explains why the award continues to carry such influence nearly 50 years after it began. In the second article of the series, I look at this in more detail. The Spiel des Jahres jury is made up of independent game critics and journalists. Jury membership is not open to publishers, designers, distributors, retailers, or anyone whose livelihood depends directly on producing or selling games. Independence has been a defining principle since the organization was founded, and it remains one of the requirements for jury membership today, as explained in the previous article in the series. In 2026, the jury responsible for 3 Spiel des Jahres awards consists of 14 members. They come from a variety of media backgrounds, including print journalism, websites, podcasts, video channels and magazines. There's no single individual who decides the outcome. Although some members hold organizational roles within the association, all jurors participate in the evaluation and voting process. New members are chosen by the association itself. They have to demonstrate an active record of reviewing and discussing board games publicly. Harald Schrapers, the chair of Spiel des Jahres, explained in one of his interviews that the key requirement for jury membership is not being active in hobby through a particular medium, but the ability to engage critically with board games and communicate their thoughts to others clearly. A thoughtful review can appear in a magazine article, a podcast episode, a video review, or another format entirely. Membership is formally renewed every 4 years, a structure which allows a certain amount of continuity while also allowing the jury to change over time, giving fresh ideas and new people an opportunity to take part. So it is no surprise that the jury has become more diverse in recent years. Schrapers has openly acknowledged that board gaming has historically been dominated by white male voices and has expressed support for greater diversity within the hobby and within the jury itself. One reason the Spiel des Jahres awards carry so much weight in the board game industry is the sheer number of games considered each year. As a whole, the jury evaluates hundreds of new releases every year. Of course, not every juror plays every game. As Schrapers explained in an interview, smaller groups of jurors often play games first and share their impression with colleagues. If a game is found that feels like it deserves wide attention, the rest of the jury is informed and asked to play the relevant game themselves. That reduces unnecessary duplication while still allowing for wide coverage of the games available. Jury weekends held throughout the year also allow members to play and discuss games together. For a board game to be eligible for an award, it has to meet a series of criteria published by the association. The main requirement is that board games must generally be available in German and accessible to consumers through normal retail channels. Distribution matters because the award is there to help the general public find suitable new games. So it has to be available in normal retail outlets rather than only being available in board game hobby shops. The jury also evaluates board games across several other areas. Official criteria include the game idea, the quality and clarity of the rules, the functionality and production quality of the components, and overall graphic design. At the same time, jury members will tell you that there is no simple formula for a board game to ensure it's going to be nominated for a Spiel des Jahres award. Different titles succeed in different ways, and discussion amongst the jury remains the core part of the selection process. One of the misconceptions about Spiel des Jahres is that the jury speaks with a single voice. Yet interviews with current jurors suggest something rather different. Individual members often have very different views on the same game, and disagreement is not only considered a normal part of the process, but is also frequent. It takes many different views and standpoints to come to a conclusion that is founded in the association's goals. According to Schrappers, the jury wants individual viewpoints to remain visible, which is why jury members regularly share their opinions of a board game publicly and passionately. People are encouraged to look at jurors as critics first and jury members second. Different perspectives are not treated as a weakness. Instead, they provide the foundation for meaningful discussion. When it comes to putting together the recommendation and nomination lists, the jury debates the pros and cons of individual games before casting their votes. Yet, while voting plays an important role, the nomination process is much more collaborative than you may imagine. Multiple rounds of discussion and voting may occur before a final list emerges. Schrappers has explained that the recommendation and nomination lists often achieve unanimous support by the time they are officially announced, even if opinions were completely different earlier in the process. After the nominations have been published, further discussion leads to the final selection of the winning games. The association does not publish detailed voting records, and except for a handful of people, even jury members don't know the outcome for certain until the winners are announced during the award ceremony. The approach reflects the award's identity as a critics' prize. Individual opinions are very important, and the final selection of winners is the result of compromises and changes of opinion after constructive and passionate discussion. One last thing that's important to mention is that, while many people in the board game hobby only focus on the annual winners, the Spiel des Jahres Association places considerable importance on the recommendation and nomination lists that precede the awards. Those lists form part of the jury's broader mission to guide consumers through an increasingly crowded market. Recommendation lists highlight games the jury considers particularly worthy of attention. Nomination lists identify the finalists for each category. Together, they create a curated overview of important releases from the year that the association is more than happy for the general public to buy and play. Also, for many publishers, appearing on one of these lists can be almost as valuable as winning the award itself. Also, the 3 award categories each serve different audiences. Spiel des Jahres focuses on games for a broad public audience. Kinderspiel des Jahres recognizes children's and family games and benefits from input from specialist advisors who work with children. The Kennerspiel des Jahres award was introduced to help guide players who already have some experience learning and exploring modern games. So, nearly 50 years after the first Spiel des Jahres award was presented, the process remains rooted in the same principle that guided the founders. Independent critics play as many board games as often as they can, with as many different groups of people, discuss them, disagree with one another, and ultimately come up with the recommended titles that they believe best represent the value of board gaming. Even when opinions differ, the aim remains remarkably consistent: helping more people discover great games and the experiences they create around the table.
Thank you for listening to this Tabletop Games blog topic discussion podcast. Please check the description below for links mentioned in this episode, as well as to the written version of this article on the blog. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us some stars, or leave a review. Please also tell your friends about me, and if you want to offer financial support, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages, links to which you'll find in the blog at tabletopgamesblog.com. So thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you again soon. This podcast was made possible by the generous help of my supporters. Royal Patron Sean Newman, Magic Champion John Risley, Castle Guards David Miller and James Naylor, Dice Masters Alex Bardi, Paul Grogan and Robin Kay, and Shining Lights Jacob Davis, Gavin Jones and Richard Simpson.